Hello everybody, it's me, Kevin, and today I want to talk about what inspired me to create the Resplendent Cave and my journey into becoming a professional dungeon master. So I got into D&D about 5 or 6 years ago when a friend at work introduced it to me. We were out on a work trip and there was literally nothing to do, so he helped me create my first character, he ran the first game I did, and after that I was hooked. So at that time, Critical Role was starting to become popular. That idea of becoming a professional dungeon master, getting paid to play games, was starting to hit the mainstream. A lot of streamers such as High Rollers and Dimension 20 started to show up on the scene. It was this dream that was almost reachable. Like, I could be paid to just play games. A lot of people started to throw their hat in the ring, and I did too. I tried the whole streaming thing, Twitch profile. I went all in. I had business cards made, I had a website launched, and it said things like, hey, I'm a professional dungeon master, I'll do your birthday parties, your corporate events, I'll write you custom adventures, things like that. And thought to myself, hey, there's a huge market for this. It's gonna be big, it's gonna be easy. The reality of it was that it wasn't. Throughout the whole 2 years that I was a professional dungeon master, I only had really one booking. I think a lot of it was because I actually couldn't compete with the more established dungeon masters at the time. They were popular even before I had started out. You could see that they had minis that they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on. They had set pieces, they had fog machines, they had controllable lighting, sound systems, all that. So when I had started, it was more of maybe a Facebook post of, hey, I'm a professional DM. I've been doing this for 4 or 5 years. I write great stories, and please hire me for your stuff. And that looked like every other post out there for any dungeon master starting out. They all looked the same. Mine looked the same, and it just got lost in this sea of wannabe DMs. So I was discouraged, to say the least. I took a break. So a few more months goes by, and I'm helping a friend run an event up in Chinatown. We actually were able to secure this rooftop in Chinatown on Hell Block, and it actually overlooks all of Chinatown. You can see Rogers Arena. It's a really beautiful place. And this event was D&D and board games. We invited people up there to play and meet and have fun, and that's when it really hit me. So I'm up there, and the energy was what really seemed to capture like the magic of community. So people were coming in, they were meeting each other, they were sharing their stories. It was this beautiful atmosphere, this rooftop. And I thought to myself, wow, this is a lot of fun. People are actually coming up to play D&D with us, to play board games, and I'm able to facilitate this kind of small community here. And that's where I got the idea, like, hey, maybe I should make this bigger. Maybe I should make D&D the focus of this community building. So that's when I thought about the mass D&D events, the multi-party raids. Why don't I bring several dungeon masters, several parties together, and we would go through this one single dungeon together? And that's exactly what I did. So I called up the best 4 dungeon masters that I knew and said, hey, I've got an idea. Why don't we run it together? And so we held our first event at Tabletop Cafe, November 6th, and it went way better than I thought. It was exhilarating. Everyone's coming up to me and they're telling me how much of a great time they had, how much they enjoyed it. There was a trading portion, intermission in between, that people could like take their cards and trade with each other. And that was the whole goal, is to facilitate meeting new people. And I always felt that it was a lowered barrier because you could have this thing to trade, like you would have a conversation piece in your hand. And a lot of people really enjoyed that. And that's why, for me, I thought like, hey, this is the thing I can do. I can bring together a lot of people for this shared experience that nobody else could. And that, I felt, was my biggest strong point. I couldn't compete with any of the other more established dungeon masters. I couldn't pour tons of money into my set or anything like that, but I could run events. And that's what I'm going to focus on, and that's how the Resplendent Cave got inspired. So if you're inspired by this, and you want to know a little bit more, leave a comment or email me or whatever it is. But if you enjoyed this, like, share, subscribe, that type of thing. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you later.